Courtroom cases can be really tough for everyone involved. The judge has to make difficult decisions that can change people's lives. Then there are the family and friends of those involved who feel the tension and worry about the outcome. But the hardest part is for the person who's accused and convicted. They're facing serious consequences and their future is on the line. In this video, our team chose some of the craziest moments that have happened in courtrooms. So, let's dive in and talk about the first case. A woman from Carlsbad and her instructor, who taught her how to use a gun, were given long prison terms. Authorities said they were involved in a failed plan to kill the woman's estranged husband. Although the husband was shot, he managed to survive. Take a second now to subscribe and like the video to help the channel creating more content for you. Superior Court Judge Kalinowski decided that Diana Lovejoy would spend 26 years to life in prison. This decision came after she was found guilty last year of planning to commit murder and attempting to murder her husband. Weldon McDavid Jr. was given a sentence of 50 years to life in prison because he shot someone named Greg Mulvihill on a dark path in Carlsbad. Luckily, Greg Mulvihill survived the shooting. This happened in 2016, when Diana and Greg Mulvihill were going through a tough divorce and fighting over who gets custody of their son. During the hearing for their punishment, both Lovejoy and McDavid said there was never a plan to pay someone to murder Greg. "There was no intent to kill," McDavid said. "That's not who I am." Lovejoy was very emotional when she talked to the judge. She said that she would never separate her son from his father. "I could never be able to do that," she said. "And it's so painful that some people in the world would think I would have it in me to do this." In the summer of 2014, the couple broke up. Lovejoy said her husband had sexually abused her and maybe their very young son. The family court first said he could only visit his son with supervision. Later, they decided to give Mulvihill joint custody after looking into it. After a hearing where Mulvihill was sentenced, Breton said none of Lovejoy's claims against Mulvihill were true. Breton said Lovejoy made them up to try to get full custody of their child. In the summer of 2016, after a long legal fight, Lovejoy and Mulvihill made a deal. They agreed to share custody of their then 3-year-old son, and Lovejoy had to give Mulvihill $120,000. Several months ago, Lovejoy and McDavid crossed paths at the Oceanside gun range where McDavid was employed. Lovejoy later had McDavid set up a security system in her house. Despite McDavid being married, they had been together intimately on a few occasions, as mentioned in the testimony. On the night when the shooting happened, McDavid called Mulvihill before 11 p.m. He used a special phone that he asked Lovejoy to buy. McDavid pretended to be someone else, a private investigator. He said to Mulvihill that he had proof of him being mean to someone, which could cause trouble for him in the divorce. The caller then went on to say that he would leave this proof on a pole along a dirt path near Rancho Santa Fe. But it was all a lie. There was no proof at all. It was just a way to fool Mulvihill. Moments after hearing the verdict read, Lovejoy collapsed and was taken from courtroom on a stretcher. What are your thoughts on this case? Let's go on with the next crazy courtroom moment. In 2019, a young Russian man named Leonid Gracer was in court because he was accused of killing his sister. The courtroom had glass walls and everyone could see him, but during the trial, he thought he could escape by climbing through the ceiling. He started climbing up, but the police officers saw him and grabbed his leg before he could get far. He even lost his pants in the struggle. While one officer held onto his leg, another called for more help. Gracer managed to shake out of his trousers and free one leg before they could stop him completely. Before backup arrived, the police officer kept the person under control and used a taser to calm down the Russian. After that, Gracer agreed to climb down and squeeze himself back into the box. While pulling up his pants, he was quickly handcuffed to stop any more attempts to run away. In a statement to the Russian police, he admitted to not talking about Satan, but said he felt he had to kill his sister. He claimed it was necessary and that he did what he had to do. In September 2020, Gracer was ordered by the district court in Moscow to undergo psychiatric treatment. Russian law doesn't allow more information about the verdict to be shared, but his medical condition is reviewed every 6 months. What do you think about this crazy escape plan? If you have any court cases that should be featured on the channel, please comment it down below. Next case went years later viral on social media. The event happened in June 2008, and was caught on camera in the courtroom. It happened during the trial of Keeson Wilkins, who was representing himself. On the second day of the trial, Wilkins, wearing a white suit, suddenly grabbed his chest and fell to the ground. Deputies quickly came to help him, and he received a lot of medical attention. But later, doctors found out that Wilkins wasn't really sick. After the fake incident, the judge scolded Wilkins for causing trouble. Once his trick was exposed, Wilkins decided to participate properly in his trial. He was found guilty of assaulting someone and other crimes. Now, Wilkins is serving a 42-year sentence in prison. His acting skills were not that good, but maybe it was worth a try with this long sentence he got. Take a second now to subscribe and like the video, to not miss any content. Now, we see a big mistake a man did on court day. He was found guilty of threatening to kill a judge who made a decision about kids in his family. His name is Alan Miller McCarty. During his trial, he mostly watched from a small room behind special glass. He shouted at the judge, interrupted, and said rude things. 3 women and 3 men made up the jury. It took them around 30 minutes to decide that McCarty was guilty of 2 counts of making threats or extortion and 2 counts of corrupting a public official. McCarty didn't just threaten the judge. He also made threats to a pair of dispatchers during phone calls. When they announced the guilty verdicts, McCarty stayed unusually quiet, sitting between deputies. McCarty could be looking at up to 40 years in prison when Circuit Judge Matt Foxman sentences him. Earlier that day, they moved to a different room, hoping to calm things down. But McCarty kept shouting curses and insults at the judge, witnesses, and the whole legal system. In the courtroom, everyone, including Judge Foxman, the lawyers, and the jurors, heard McCarty shouting loudly. He used rude words and complained that he couldn't show evidence. McCarty also shouted about his papers being taken away, criticized his lawyer for not asking the right questions, and expressed distress about his children being taken away from him unfairly. When McCarty was leaving the courtroom with the guard, he mentioned he wanted to report Foxman. McCarty claimed Foxman had threatened to tape his mouth shut. The judge instructed him to give his report to one of the guards as they escorted him back to jail. Next case went viral as a lawyer helped inmates and showed herself as quite a good friend for illegal activities. Alexis Plunkett, a lawyer from Las Vegas, admitted doing illegal activities. She let her clients use cell phones while they were in jail. This is against the rules. Because of an agreement, Alexis, who is 38 years old, will have to stop being a lawyer in Nevada for 5 years. After that, she won't be able to practice law in the state ever again. She confessed to having one cell phone with a prisoner, which is a serious offense. Her lawyer, Adam Solinger, called the agreement a good resolution for all sides involved. Plunkett's permission to practice law might be stopped for a while, but Solinger mentioned that she could try to work as a lawyer in a different state someday. Plunkett got in trouble because she visited her old client in jail, along with her then-boyfriend Andrew. Andrew got shot and injured by a guard at High Desert State Prison back in 2014. He is currently waiting for his trial because he's accused of serious crimes involving drugs and weapons. Plunkett was representing him in a lawsuit against the Nevada Department of Corrections related to the shooting incident, which resulted in another person's death. Plunkett explained that she was dating Andrew, who was also charged with a crime. She mentioned using the cell phone to make calls about bail, thinking she had permission to do so. Do you think the verdict given to her is a good solution, given her actions? Now, we have another crazy courtroom moment of a man trying to escape custody. A man from South Australia tried to escape from custody by jumping over the dock in court. His name is Daniel James Nicholson, and he is 35 years old. Because of his attempt to flee, he has been sent to jail for at least 1 year. Daniel faced charges for trying to escape from custody and for hurting 2 emergency workers. He admitted to these charges in court. Initially, he was facing charges related to carrying a weapon that is considered offensive and having a weapon that is not allowed by law. Daniel is a father of 4 children and lives in O'Sullivan Beach. In June, a video was shown in the Adelaide District Court. Daniel was in court and got really upset when the judge, Sue O'Connor, said he couldn't go free while waiting for his trial. Nicholson got so upset that he jumped over the place where he was supposed to sit. 2 officers who work in the court tried to stop him from leaving, but Nicholson didn't listen. There was a bit of a fight. Nicholson tried to jump out of his seat again, and this time he landed on a table where lawyers usually sit. A policeman named Brendan grabbed Nicholson and tried to hold him down, but Nicholson got away. The officers helped catch Nicholson again, but he struggled and ended up falling backward. Finally, they managed to restrain Nicholson and stop him from causing more trouble. Because of what happened, one of the officers hurt his foot badly. He broke his right foot and had to wear a special boot for 6 weeks. When Nicholson was sentenced by Judge Chapman, she talked about how this officer had a tough time. He needed help doing simple things like getting dressed and taking a shower, plus he couldn't drive. The judge also said that this officer was worried about how his co-workers felt about him after the incident. He couldn't sleep well because he kept wondering if they thought he did the right thing. The other officer got hurt too. His jaw was clicking, and he had headaches because of the fight. During the trial, they said Nicholson was using drugs on the day when he tried to escape. As a result, Nicholson got a sentence of 1 year, 9 months, and 18 days in prison. He won't be eligible for parole for 1 year. In this court case, a person accused of rape punched their lawyer while in court. A man who is accused of sexually assaulting a woman at a car dealership in Ballard almost 2 years ago went to court. But things took a bad turn when he attacked his lawyer who was assigned by the court. The man, Christopher Teal, 26, was in a King County courtroom for a hearing about whether he was mentally fit for trial. While he was standing in front of Superior Court Judge Karen Donahue, he suddenly punched his lawyer. People in the courtroom were shocked when they heard the punch. Several sheriff's deputies quickly intervened, and Teal was taken down. Then, they escorted him out of the courtroom and back to jail. He's still in jail with a bond set at $1 million. The lawyer who defended Christopher in court told both the judge and the news that he wasn't injured when the attack happened. "I don't feel angry towards Mr. Teal," he said. Teal is charged with going after a 40-year-old woman into a bathroom at Carter Volkswagen and sexually attacking her. The woman had just left her car for service when the attack happened. Officials and papers from court say that Teal, who is very tall, is accused of locking the door and raping the woman. The lady explained to a person making a documentary that the attacker got into the bathroom stall, grabbed her throat and shoulder, and threw her to the ground near the handicap stall. They struggled for a few minutes. When questioned by the police, Teal admitted he went into the restroom to sexually assault the woman. He also tried to headbutt a detective during the questioning. A doctor who evaluated Teal the last month said Teal understands the criminal charges against him. The doctor also suggested that Teal might have been pretending to have symptoms of a psychotic disorder. It's quite interesting what criminals do to change the outcome of the sentencing. Which courtroom case do you think was the most dramatic one? If you know court cases that could be featured on the channel, please write the names in the comments section. Take a second to write your thoughts down below. Please subscribe to our channel and check out one of these videos. See you next time around. Take care.